Welcome to episode 30 of the Sarah's podcast. Today's guest is Cem Oktem. Cem is from the Packet Bridge Fish and Chips and soon to be Westgate Fish and Chips in Morecambe. I've known Cem for a good few years, as he and his brother have been customers and friends for some time now. Similar to the conversation we had with Banico a few weeks ago, we wanted to just sit down and have a casual conversation about the fish and chip industry. Around now, they are preparing their new business, Westgate Fish and Chips, so I would like to wish Cem and Cihan the best of luck. Sarah's podcast is brought to you by Sarah's Pure Food Innovation, and to find out more, please visit www.wordofsarahs.com. Enjoy. Hi, Cem. Welcome to the Sarah's podcast.
How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. Just get a little closer to that mic for us.
Sorry, yeah,
I know
sure.
You're looking at your notes, being all professional. So I just want to tell people a little bit about yourself.
Of course.
And for them that don't know, you're Cem Oktem. Many people might get confused about that because we were just said as we were setting up, weren't we? It's that C, it throws everybody off.
Yeah, many people don't think it is Cem, yeah.
But in Turkish, C is a J.
Yeah.
So
I get Cem and Cem all the time, and it's
Yeah.
gone past the point of correcting people now.
Yeah.
I just accept it for what it is.
What I'd like to reiterate, though, everyone keeps saying, how do you say Ceres? It's definitely Ceres. It's not Keres. It's not Jerez. It's not Ceres. It's
Yeah.
just Ceres.
Yeah.
And everyone always says to me, well, what is it? And I'm like, it's just Ceres. Like, oh, you're sure it's not Keres? It's like, no, it's Ceres. Like,
Pretty sure I know, yeah.
so getting back to the intro, for those that don't know, you are are you general manager of Packet Bridge Fish and Chips? What would you call it?
Yeah, that's a good enough title.
Yeah, good enough title. General dog body.
Yeah.
and it's in Bolton, just
Yeah.
to get it right, because I got it wrong last week and he told me off.
Yeah.
And pretty much been a customer since 2011.
Yeah.
Found an email and some correspondence from your brother Cihan.
Yeah.
Again, another C, that's
Yeah.
a J. He emailed me in April 2011, but we met on Chippy Chat, where we used to spend most of our time when not working, which, as many people know, that's very rare for me. But for Cihan, not very rare, because he doesn't work a lot. And although when I first got the email, I thought it was spam, because it had a Kazakhstani email
That's
address.
right, yeah, he was working out in Kazakhstan, yeah.
And I just thought it was like one of these, do you want to be a millionaire? Or, So I just thought...
Sending you some money.
Yeah, exactly. But then he then sends me a message on Chippy Chat and he goes,
Yeah.
oh, that's me, by the way. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So, but yeah, welcome to the Sarah's podcast. And we've been trying to get this done for a while. So I think, let's go. So how did you get into the fish and chip industry?
So, back in 2008, whilst I was still studying at school at sixth form and stuff, my brother decided to buy a fish and chip shop as sort of like a side earner for himself.
As you do.
Yeah, my dad has been working in the catering industry for many, many years. So he was sort of taken on to run the shop. I was just sort of working there part-time whilst I was doing my studying and stuff. After about 18 months, my dad decided to go back to pizzas, which is his trade. And I just said to Cihan, look, I'm happy to take on the management of the shop. And it's sort of gone from there, really. I've always liked to sort of earn money, and I never really enjoyed studying at school. I was quite intelligent, top sets for stuff, but as soon as you've got the choice of education or not, it's a little bit different. And I just wanted to work. I've always wanted to work and earn money. And I got passionate about the job that I was doing, and it's just sort of gone from there, really.
And that was in, 2008, something like that?
2009, I took over the management of the shop, yeah. So I've been managing it for about 10 years now, yeah.
What was it like, sort of, taking over a shop in the throes of the sort of like the early recession? Like, because 2008 was when the recession came in. Like, was it difficult or?
It was really tough, yeah. We were kind of thrown into it, sort of blind into the industry. We didn't know a lot about it. Like I say, my brother was sort of relying on my dad's background of catering, but as we've all learned, fish and chips is a whole different ball game. And obviously, me being as young as I was at 19, it was difficult. There was a lot to take on, and I think that's why Cihan got involved in Chippy Chat to educate himself, encourage me to get involved in that sort of thing.
I never saw you there.
I was just lingering in the background, yeah. Yeah, Cihan likes to sort of socialise over the Chippy Chat group, and obviously now with the Facebook groups and stuff like that as well. He's quite vocal on them. But no, it was very educational to people. We got a lot of good advice off the likes of yourself, Mark Petru, and we had Grumps out as well to the shop.
Good old Grumps. Good old Grumps.
But all these things benefited us and it all helped us. But yeah, the recession was really, really tough. We weren't taking as much as we hoped it would take. We were overstaffed. We had inherited staff. And it was tough. Like you say, I was a 19-year-old kid. And
what was it like being a 19-year-old kid and probably a little bit immature, what we all are at that age, especially being guys. And
30-year-old kid now, I'm still immature.
I didn't want to say. Yeah. I was trying to look back a little bit. But, and having like staff that may be a bit hesitant, resistant to change, older, set in their ways. How do you...
It was one of them where they inherited all their skills from the previous owner, and maybe... me and Cihan wanted to sort of change things and adapt to things, and they were maybe a little bit reluctant, but I understand why they were as well. I was a 19-year-old kid with no experience, coming into things and wanting to put my stamp on it, and it took time to evolve and slowly change things bit by bit.
How many times did someone say, "What does he know?" or "It ain't done like this"?
Well, they never said it directly to
you. You can sort of sense it, can't you?
Yeah. Well, I was, like I say, we went from the doing obviously learning things on Chippy Chat and stuff and having Grumps in, and then obviously I got involved with sort of the young friars and all that sort of thing. And I was coming back to the shop and I was saying, we need to try this, we need to do this. And you could see that a lot of people were reluctant to change. And I have noticed that over the years that there's still people out there reluctant to change. And
yeah, I think it's one of those things that a friend of mine just took over a shop, or he's bought it, and we text every day, and he'll say like, I want to do this, but I've got to really take my time with it because the staff are just going to rebel.
Yeah.
And I said to him, get him involved, like do a bit of a thing, like, have a little tasting if it's something that involves taste or texture.
Let me know what you think. And let them have their own opinion, because they'll sort of get involved in it a lot more, and they'll think a lot highly of it. And
you've almost got to make it that not their decision almost, but it's almost like a joint decision. We came to it together. We tested 8 things. Yeah. We whittled out 7.
Yeah, they have to believe in what you do and what you want to do and what you want to achieve. So.
I think a lot of the time in any business, I think some people probably think that you're making the decisions because you think you're the boss or you want to be bossy, as opposed to I think this is better.
I absolutely think that was the impression. Obviously, being as young and as I was, that was definitely the impression that was being given. But now, obviously, as I've got a lot more experience, a lot more knowledge. I think I've managed to sort of gain the respect of my staff now.
It's probably fair to say they're all new now. Well, not new, but different.
Yeah. It's a completely new team that we've got now compared to when we first
obviously, it's a Bolton Les Sands is a village of 4,000 people roughly. It's not a massive village.
No, it's very small.
Yeah, and then obviously you were sort of in the throes of a recession. You were new. How long did it sort of take? Before you started winning new custom, showing that, everything was on the right track? And
in all honesty, probably close to 4 or 5 years. Yeah, it took a long, long time. Like I say, we made a lot of mistakes. Times were tough. And we didn't really get any professional training for about 3 or 4 years from taking over the shop. And, I can't, obviously we're doing the training at the NFFF now. I can't stress that enough to people how important it is to get that professional training, and it might just be the smallest of things. It might just measure your batter, time your rumblings, and it's all these little things. The amount of money that we literally threw away down the drain.
Find out, and then also the hidden cost, which is you're testing it on real live customers.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, as an example, and I like to use this example when I do the training, we were using 50 bags of spuds a week. And we were taking about $5,000 a week, which we thought was good at the time, which it is. But 50 bags on $5,000 is absolutely crazy. And And obviously, once we got the professional training in and stuff, we whittled that down, and now we're taking a lot more than that, and we're probably using 10 or 15 bags less.
It's pretty weird because I know a few potato guys, and I think in the Midlands they would say that's the norm, 1,000 per.
Obviously, it goes down to a lot of obviously portion control and all that sort of thing as well. But just timing. But
you've just increased your middle profit there.
Exactly.
Like, you've not only increased the turnover.
Well, a pound saved is better than a pound made, isn't it? So
exactly. I'd rather have both.
Yeah,
and
of
that's
course.
What you essentially did there. And that's the point. You did that by increasing the sales and reducing your stock. So I think that's where that's for me that's the golden saving and making, because I think that customers are coming back because they like the product. And you're not giving 12 kilos to a customer who is paying £2. You just sort of, but I think we're going to get into this obviously, but I think you've got to work both out, and I think you did there in that instance. Yeah. So obviously, how long have you been a trainer at the National Federation of Fish Fries School?
Since, was it January or February 2017? So probably about 2.5 years now. Okay. Yeah.
And you enjoy it?
Absolutely love it. Yeah.
What do you enjoy mostly about it, would you say?
It's probably getting away from the shop a little bit and doing something a little bit different. One of my teachers at school always said I should have been a teacher because of my personality and that sort of thing. And I just love seeing the changes in people and people that are willing to learn. Like we were just at the NFF ball the other day, and I had a couple of people come up to me and they'd sort of said thank you for the training that you've done and the things that we've implemented. It's made a massive difference.
That's good.
And that's everything to me. It's really, really good.
And also you work closely with David Miller.
Yes.
And as you now know, I taught him everything he knows.
That's not what he's told me.
So, one of them, I think it's always a contentious issue, the school, isn't it? And I think that you see on the groups a lot, on the Facebook groups, where people are like, oh, don't go there. And I think if I was spending anywhere north of, I don't know, I'd probably spend it even if it was less than this. But if you're, in my theory is, if you're spending £100,000 to buy a business, why would you not spend 1,000 on training? And I think that...
Well, that would be the logical answer.
Yeah, no, of course. and I think that a lot of people have probably overstretched themselves in the first place. There's no doubt, I get that.
But it can literally pay for itself within a few weeks.
Yeah, and I think because you're not, like we said earlier, you're not testing it out on your customers for a start.
No.
And not to say that everything you're going to learn on the course is going to set you on the straight and narrow. You're still going to have to learn some things. But if it removes 90% of your obstacles and you can just focus on making great food, But I just think that, and I spoke to this with Andrew and the guys at NFF ages ago, and I said, maybe there needs to be a thing where the banks will only give you a loan if you've had a training course, because that would protect their money a little bit more, wouldn't it?
And it would improve standards across the board as well.
Well, yeah, and I think that they mentioned that it was going to be a thing, and then it sort of got washed away. And maybe Andrew can talk about it later on when we're doing a podcast with him. But I think that because I think that then saying that a bank would still give a chef a loan. Yeah. It doesn't even have to be a chef, a restaurateur. You don't have to be a chef to be a restaurateur. So I'm not saying you don't have to, but I'm just saying that it wouldn't hurt.
I think you have to have that some form of professional knowledge.
Yeah, no, definitely. And, so we obviously know that more people should go to school, but what about quality award assessments? Do you do those as well?
Do them as well, yeah.
So one of the biggest gripes, and we spoke about this earlier, that I get with the quality award, and I think the one reason, so I recommend that everyone does it. Yeah. But
I'd agree with that. I think for me, it's about working to a minimum required standard. Anything above that is a bonus. And that's what separates the good shops in sort of the competitions and all that sort of thing as well. But for me, it's just a standard to work to. Yeah. It's an encouragement for all your staff, a motivation, and just say this is sort of how it should be. Because it's all well and good it coming from me saying this is how I want it to be, this is how I want to work. But when it's coming from somebody else saying this is how it should be, they'll take it in a little bit more. Yeah. And like I say, on our most recent quality award, I just didn't get involved with it. I just sort of said to the guys, look, this is on you now. Go away, do your research on it, see what we need to do. And they came back and it was fine. They did the assessment themselves. And
I think one of the biggest gripes that people have with the quality award is the word award. I think for me, it needs to be some sort of, stamp audit.
That's technically what it is. It's an audit. At the end of the day, you get the checklist sent out to you. Before it's sent out to you, you know exactly what to expect.
I think just by calling it an award, it devalues that whole process. I think that, because you see it all the time. Like someone will say, "Oh, I got the quality award," and then the first thing the naysayers say is, "Oh, did you pay for it?" Yeah.
Yeah.
And whereas if it was just, I got the audit, here's my certificate, you still got a certificate, because I think that was your argument was, but you need something to say I did it. You know?
Yeah. I think it should maybe it's just the word, and it should be maybe the quality standard or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good word. Yes.
But in regards to obviously the award itself, it's difficult for customer perception. You know, I think that's the reason why it's been called quality award.
I'd probably like to see them, if it was up to me, and it's not.
No,
but if Andrew or anybody at the NWF was going to make any changes, I would say twofold. So one would be to change the name to, like what you said, maybe the quality standard or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, we still get you a certificate, but also I think what would be really good would be to expand it, because and have different tiers so people can pay more if they want to, which they probably wouldn't because I know what they're like. But you know, imagine saying, well, we can add quality, we can add mystery shops to this twice a year, once a year. You can. So if it's, I don't know, how much is a quality award? 200 quid these days, 300.
Depends if you remember. I think you get a discount if you remember.
So let's, for argument's sake, it's 250. Yeah. Well, if I want a mystery shop twice a year as well, it's now 350. Because then I think it focuses on quality. You build your own package.
Yeah, it's a bit of a difficult one, that though, because then how do the customers know that you're having a
Well, yeah, I suppose there is that.
Having a mystery shop.
But then you have to you get your report, won't you?
Yeah.
You get your report and you say, as part of our quality standard for this.
Yeah,
you know.
maybe that should be part of it as well, because
I think
for me, you're assessed on the day, and obviously it's a 2-year thing. It needs to be done every 2 years. Now, I'm not saying it does happen. A lot can
change in 2 years.
A lot can change in 2 years. A lot can change in a few weeks.
Yeah.
You know, it's a difficult one.
Yeah.
But I think that would be good having a mystery shop.
I just think, but there's so many things you can do there where, you know, there's a lot of great people in the industry, and it doesn't have to be a mystery shop company. It can be someone from the industry.
But as you say, it all comes at a cost, doesn't it?
Oh, of course, you've got to pay. There's no doubt in my mind. Like, so when you put your package together, you say, here's what I want, tick, tick, tick. I don't need that, or I don't want that, or I can't afford that, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But then
so it'd be like a bronze, silver, gold standard.
No, not even that. No. So, well, in terms of packages, but not certification. Yeah.
Right, okay.
So I'm just saying that when you go to order it, you know, say you go to book in your quality award, what package would you like? Oh, just a quality award assessment? Yeah. Or would you like a quality award assessment with 1 visit a year, 2 visits a year? Because you can get mystery shop companies that do this thing all the time. And I know a few people in our industry have mystery shoppers.
Which is good for the proprietor and the owner to know that obviously it's been certified
when they're not
more.
there.
But in regards to the customer, what's the difference between
from that point of view, you know, I think the problem is if you start putting I've got the gold standard and I've got the platinum standard. Problem is those that have the normal standard will be very offended by it. Because I remember a few years ago, just before was it just before or just after? I can't remember. Just before NWF took over, or just after, one of the two. It was around that time frame. They had 3 stars, 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, or something like that. Or it might have been 3, 4, and 5. And those that just got the entry level certification, let's say, weren't very happy with it, you know. But those that obviously got the full marks were very happy with it, you know. So I thought that was a great idea. Personally, I was a big fan of seeing shops rated honestly and how they are.
Yeah.
You know, if it's 90%, you get a silver, and if it's 95%, you get a gold, and so on. I like that, but I can understand when people didn't like it. I get it, you know. But that's always going to be a contentious issue, I think, you know. But
yeah, because at the moment it's an audit, so you know what's coming on the day, you know what to expect, and to be honest, in my opinion, nobody should fail that. If you've paid for it, you've been sent out the pack, you know exactly what needs to be done. So on the day, there should be no problems.
Yeah, not everyone's going to get 100%.
Oh yeah, obviously, but the mystery shop introducing that, then that changes it a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, I just think from an audit point of view, that maintains standards and it keeps people on their toes.
Yeah.
So, you know, if people know that there's always a mystery shopper coming in, and you make it known to your staff that there's a mystery shopper coming in at some point throughout the year, then I think people just stay on their toes a little bit more, don't they? And, you know,
would that bring a little bit of unnecessary pressure and stuff for people?
Pressure's good.
It is,
Could do. And I think because, you know,
stress, should I say?
Well, be, but again, it depends how people like to motivate themselves, doesn't it?
Yeah, unless you gave them a small time frame or window to do it. I think if you were to just say it could be any time this year, I think it's a bit.
But you've got to take the competitive element out of it, in my view. I think that's what I'd say. Is like, don't make it.
It's not a competition at the end of the day.
It's not, and I think that's the thing. It's just an audit for you guys internally to say, a woman called Margaret came in on Thursday, and she bought 2 fish and chips. She took photos, and we thought, that could have been better. We only got 87% there. That's it. It's just an internal metric, and that's the way I think of it.
Yeah.
But I just think that what I'm getting at more than anything is just I'd love to see them change the name and expand it to then, get better results and keep people on their toes. I'm not sure every 2 years is good, if I'm honest. I think that, like we said, a lot can happen in 2 years. I could get the quality award this year, and next year there could be a problem, let alone 2 years. But I don't know I'm sure someone will tell us in one of the next podcasts why it's 2 years. And I think I just think that
it's maybe down to a cost thing as well.
Probably, or logistics, getting people out all the time.
Exactly, yeah.
But I just think that for me, I think maybe the costs need revising to make it a yearly one. And I think then because you can't increase standards on every 2 years, in my view. I just think.
But the costs at the moment do literally only cover the costs of
of
the
course,
admin work
exactly.
and sending out the assessor. So
why do you think that people in our industry are so resistant to spending money on this sort of thing? Like whether it's quality audits or anything really, it just seems like.
For me, I don't understand why people are the way they are sometimes. At the end of the day, it's there to improve you. It's there to sort of better your business. Yeah. So why not utilise it? As you were saying before, what's the cost of say £300-400 on a quality award assessment over the course of a year?
Yeah.
No, don't get me wrong. It's a lot of money to some people, but I think if you maximise that in regards to advertising it as well as you possibly can. It pays for itself.
I think a friend of mine, for example, he's just opened a restaurant in Nantwich.
Yeah.
So not far from Craig Buckley. And he's not a chef. He was from the fish and chip industry.
Yeah.
And he's just spent a huge wedge on this restaurant.
Yeah.
But he went and did, was it 8 or 13 weeks at a chef school?
Oh, right.
And he says, I'm not a chef. I'm still not a chef.
No.
But now I understand a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I think
that's something I'd love to do.
Yeah.
Because obviously doing the teaching at the Federation and stuff, I love the fact that people go and do it. I'd love to go myself on like a chefing course to learn how to grill fish properly and become a bit more of a chef rather than, I say just a fish fry. There's a lot more to it than that. But I would like to learn different methods of cooking.
Frying fish is a skill set that many wouldn't understand, and I get that because they've never had to do it. And
I mean, we once had about nine chefs come from one place that was opening up in Edinburgh, and each and every single one of them said at the end of the course when we got the feedback how amazed they were, how much there was to learn, how different it is to what their perception was, and that they were really really pleased with it, which is it's good to hear that a chef can learn so much from us. And I think obviously it reciprocates. It's amazing how much we could learn from them as well.
I think one of the biggest things we're going to see is some more tough times come in. And I think, in my view, when tough times come, you invest for the future.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think we're going to get onto it. Obviously, you guys are. And I think just sometimes cutting costs, I think it's cutting your nose off to spite your face a little bit. And I understand when people come in the industry and say, I don't need training. I get that. Well, why don't you need training? Give us a good reason. Yeah. I think maybe those people that then say to them, have you ever considered the course? And we know those guys, they're friends of ours that say, have you considered the course? Yeah. But I think that person's already made their mind up. They're not changing their mind. And I think that is a big issue in our trade is that there is a lot of people set in the ways. There is a lot of people that won't listen and take advice. And that is one of the reasons why I love David Miller so much. He's been in the trade 30 years, and he's one of the people that listens the most and learns the most every single time he speaks to people, whether they've had 6 months experience, 6 years experience, or 60 years experience. He'll always be listening and learning, and I don't think you ever do stop learning. I think someone like him, I told you I used to go to his shop years ago.
Yeah.
I'd drive past and you'd pop in because we got on, and the shop was tired, it was old, he was ready for retirement, and then then, like, I remember, like, a year later, 18 months later, I get a call and it's like, hey, you've not been for a while. And I was like, oh, I'll come soon. I'll pop in. And it was just completely different. Like, and I think there was a second wave for him. Like, he literally was ready to retire.
New lease of life.
New lease of life. And, you know, for many reasons, if, you know, fix up the shop, Nick's more involved. And then it's like, he feels younger almost, doesn't he? Like, he's doing so much. And he has learnt a lot. You can tell because, you know, he just has. But I think that... I just think, you know, sometimes in our industry, everyone's just so quick to make savings. Yeah. And I think, yes, you have saved £1,000 by not doing any of these courses.
But how damaging is it long term?
Yeah. What did you lose in the process?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think, you know, you see it all the time. You see other groups like, oh, someone's selling a 50-year-old range. And there's lots of people that want to buy it. Yeah. You know, it's going to chew up 9 times more gas. You know, the product's probably not going to be that great, whatever we say.
You've no warranty or anything.
No, nothing. Warranty long gone. It never came with a warranty, if you're honest.
It's the peace of mind that you want with things like that, I think, more than anything.
I think today we see more so that we understand we're going to have downtime. We get it, you know, but how can we mitigate that? And that's with service contracts. Yeah. It's the same with tills, isn't it? You know, a friend of mine says, I won't buy a point-of-sale system without... a service contract. It goes because it goes down in the middle of the night. I just ring up the company and they log in and they do it. Whereas imagine not having a till, especially today, where there's no credit card, where it's all credit cards and debit cards, and just saying to
we had that the other week. It broke on us on a Saturday night. We couldn't get it fixed until a Tuesday, and we were literally having to write down every. It was the worst 3 days of my life, to be honest. It was so difficult to literally not have a till. And it's like you say, it's just one of them small things, but
and you know,
it's one of them things that you learn from and you future-proof.
And I think as we start moving towards like cashless society, which is happening faster in some places than others.
Yeah, absolutely,
I think you're going to see, like, you can't afford to not have a secondary point-of-sale system. That you
it's crazy how many businesses still don't use cards, who don't have a card machine. And it's just like people are paying on the phones and the watches now. It's like times are evolving.
I went to a place the other week. Can't remember. It wasn't a customer. It was like a shop that I went to, and it had all that the signs in the window: American Express, Mastercard, we accept all. Walk in, and there was a sign saying "machine broken." But I went there 3 weeks after or whatever, and it was the same. Like, it's just basically. Well, they're saying they accept it, but they don't. Like, and this is the same. Like in Cyprus, it's similar to that. Like, everywhere you go, we accept cards, but the machine's broke. Like,
like, conveniently.
Oh, God, conveniently. So, but I think that you're right. Like, and the other thing with like the spending profile when people pay with their phone or I found the faster, more seamless way it is to pay, the more people spend. Yeah. The slower it is.
People just don't think about it. If you've got a £10 note and you walk into a shop, that's literally all you can spend.
I actually think that is all you can spend, but people spend less. And I find that
because they want a little bit back.
Yeah, you want a couple of pounds in your pocket. What if something happens when you leave? So, you know, but then if you pay by card, regardless of what type of card it is, you will always spend more. Yeah. And I know people say, because you think about it for another day. I don't think that's strictly true. I just think that, although there's an element of that, I just think it's seamless. It's fast.
You know how much you've got in your bank account, so you don't worry about it too much.
I don't. But I know what you mean. I get your point. Like, you know, but I think that, you know, our industry, like many, are just going to have to, like, you know, get on top of that. You know, because I think that this industry is quite late to it. And I think, but it's not just our industry. A lot of coffee shops I go to won't have it. And you think, come on, like, you know, it's just a coffee. Like, I just want to pay.
Things are ever evolving, and I think you've got to learn and you've got to adapt to that as well.
So how did you guys do with like consistency? Like, you know, in the early days, the shop's quiet. You know that, as you know now, it's
that was probably one of our biggest downfalls. Like I say, in hindsight, we should have got professional training straight away. We literally wasted 2 to 3 years, if not longer, of just sort of plodding along, trying to improve things ourselves without really knowing anything. And it was tough. I went on the KFE course in 2011. Learnt loads. Learnt absolutely loads there. And it was literally just the smallest of things. So it was things like using the flow cup, which we'd never even heard of. So we were just going off our own judgment. But then when you've got 3 or 4 people, different people making a batter, everybody's judgment is different. So the most consistent way of checking your batter is using the flow cup. And it was just that minor little change. We've introduced things which I like to call stupid guides, and it's literally just a poster on the wall that basically says add this much water to this much flour, and we do that the same with our batter, our peas, our curry, our gravy, everything.
Tiles,
Not yet. Not yet. There's still a few more spaces. But no, it's difficult. You've got to try and make things as bulletproof as you can, because I can't be there 7 days a week to watch over people. You need to sort of have these things implemented and in place so that you can sort of better yourselves. And like I say, when it regards to consistency, I would much rather be 8 out of 10 every single time rather than trying to strive to be 10 out of 10, and then sometimes 6 out of 10. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, like when you're talking about customers' perception and stuff like that, the very harsher customers, you can serve them 100 good meals, but that one bad meal that you give to them, that's the first time they'll jump on TripAdvisor and let you know about it. It's the one meal that they remember. So that's why it is so important to be as consistent as you possibly can.
I think this is the thing, and one thing we've seen, maybe not with a success rate like that, but I think if customers have bad fish and chips, I've found that they disband fish and chips completely. Yeah. Like they literally go off.
That is the difficult thing with our industry, because there is so many individual owners and stuff like that, so many individual shops. And this is why I'm so passionate about things, and obviously I love doing the training and stuff and the quality award assessments, and I'm a big believer in it because it's increasing standards across the board. And I don't want my customers going away on holiday down to Cornwall or up to Scotland and stuff and having a bad experience of eating fish and chips, because the next time you come to eat fish and chips, you're not really going to fancy it, even though it's not my product that's put them off it. We just want more people. The more people that eat good fish and chips, the better.
When Seafish did that consumer research a few years ago, basically it came back and said that when people have bad fish and chips, sorry, Siri's just gone off, and yours. so when consumers have bad fish and chips, they just don't go back to fish and chips.
Exactly. I mean, I've had it before with like eating a Chinese meal and stuff like that, where I've woke up in the middle of the night with a dry mouth because of all the MSG that I've eaten.
Technically, I did tell you earlier that if you said something, I've got to come back at you. Okay. And that is scientifically incorrect.
Well, it's just conveniently happens every single time.
It's actually called Chinese restaurant syndrome. Right. So it's not MSG.
Okay.
Yeah, and Chinese restaurant syndrome is the combination of MSG, salt, sugar, dehydration. So because they use alcohol in the food, or you've drank a beer. Yeah. So they say to get around it, you should just have a pint of water before
bed,
and then pint of water before eating it, and then some water afterwards.
Okay.
Because that is what they call Chinese restaurant syndrome. Because in South Korea, believe it or not, they don't have salt and pepper on the tables; they have MSG and pepper.
Really?
Yeah, and they don't get Chinese restaurant syndrome, and they use it as their second condiment.
Oh, okay.
So I just thought
that's customers' perception.
Yeah, but again,
as a Chinese customer, I'm getting it wrong. So.
Yeah. Well, no, I just thought I think I like to clarify things. So I've spent most of my life muddying the waters. So
every day's a learning day, mate. Every day.
No, but you're right. I think you're right, and you will be going back to your point, because I sidetracked you there. Is that you were, you think, I'm not having Chinese again.
I was put off. Yeah, I was put off eating Chinese because I was waking up at 4 a.m. needing a glass of water. Yeah.
So I think, but do you think that people think that and I'd love to hear people's thoughts that aren't in fish and chips, but I think. Do you think people think like that about Chinese, Indian food and pizza? Do you think they think, well, I had a bad pizza at Domino's, I'm not having pizza again? Because I do think that fish and chips is really judged very differently. It's almost seen like a British staple.
The thing with Domino's is a brand. So if you have a bad Domino's, you're probably not likely to have another Domino's anytime soon. You're probably going to go, I don't know, Papa John's, or get your own from Asda, or go to a local Italian restaurant. It's a little bit different in that respect, I think.
And we always go on about in our industry, and there's another sidetrack a little bit here, but we always go on about our industry, how everyone's going after fish and chips. But I tell you what, if you go to a supermarket now, they've got aisles and aisles of Chinese food, Indian food.
There's Chinese meals to take home and cook yourself and stuff like that. It literally advertises Chinese takeaway,
We don't really get that. I know we might see like a packet of fish and chips. No. It's not the same thing. No. We know that. But whereas with all that saucy stuff, I don't mean saucy as in rude, I mean sauce. It is like, it's probably a pretty close comparison, isn't it? And
I don't think it's anything. I don't think we are something that supermarkets will ever get to take over.
Well, again, if you look at someone like Morrison's in the cafe, they do.
Yeah, maybe in the cafes and stuff.
But in a
in regards to take it home and heat it up yourself.
There's always going to be those people that just want it done for them properly as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So So obviously, that's sort of like the stuff that you've done for consistency, and we sort of took a sidetrack there. But I do think, in terms of consistency, it's all right checking things after the fact, but I always find that it's always good to maintain things before the fact too. So we mentioned it earlier, didn't we? Like measuring things. Like, some people are just, I didn't measure it. Well, how do you know it's okay? Well, I don't know. I flow cupped it. Well, it's a bit late. You should. So we always say to people, like, get your measurements right first.
Yeah.
Because then you know whose problem it is.
Yeah.
It's usually mine always until I get there and figure it out. But so you're opening a new shop soon.
Yes.
And it's called Westgate.
Westgate Fish and Chips. Yeah. We chose that name for the simple reason. We're obviously called the Packet Bridge Fish and Chips, but we're known to a lot of people as Bolton Sands Chippy.
Okay. Was that what it was called before or something?
No, it's always been the Packet Bridge,
right.
but that's the location of it. The shop
That little bridge.
Yeah, so the little story behind that is the canal barges used to bring the packages down to the post office, which is next door to us. So that's where the name come from. Is
right.
The Packet Bridge. A little bit of history. So we couldn't really replicate that because that was synonymous to that area.
Makes sense.
So the shop that we've taken over was actually called Precinct Fish and Chips, but nobody really knew where or what the precinct was. So now we've sort of put our stamp on the area of Westgate in Morecambe, and we're basically incorporating all the same branding at the Packet Bridge, so people know that it's the same business, same owners.
Was it always a thing to open more shops, or was it just something that's evolved in the later years?
Yeah, I mean, me and my brother talk every day about different ideas and different plans and stuff like that. It's just taken a lot of time for things to come to fruition, really. Probably a little bit longer than we anticipated, but at the same time, I think it's really, really good timing for us. We've built up a really, really good team at the Packet Bridge. We've got Stephen and Jordan into the final of the Young Fish Fry of the Year competition. They've done really, really well. I'm really proud of them. And they're going to be taking over the full-time management of the Packet Bridge. Yeah. Myself and Jamie will move down to the new shop. Eventually, I will try and split my time between the two shops, but initially I'll be down there, obviously helping out with the staff training and hopefully building up the same sort of core team as what we've got at the Packet Bridge.
Yeah. Well, you and Jamie are old, obviously. So
we're the old friars, yeah.
So, like, when I walk around the shop, you can see that there's no detail that's been left, really. It's like everything is like...
well, we, like I say, we had an offer accepted on it in December. It didn't actually go through till June, so we've had all this time to think about things, and my brother's very, very intelligent in that respect, where he thinks about things and comes up with different ideas, and it's little things like building a plinth for the fridges to sit on, so things don't get kicked under them, and it's easy to clean. We want to try and make ourselves as efficient as possible, and if that saves 20 minutes on clean down at the end of the day, then great. If it's not a big job once a week that's going to take 2 hours of pulling all the fridges out and scrubbing behind, it soon adds up over the year in cost of wages and stuff like that as well. So,
one thing I noticed, there's no spare space for things to linger, for mess to gather.
Exactly,
everything is efficiently lined up. It's just,
Well, we were quite lucky in the respect that it was a rectangular building that we've literally taken back to brick. We've not left anything in there, and we were able to start again with the blank canvas and plan it out properly. And it's worked out really, really well. I'm really pleased with how it's looking.
When are you hoping to open that?
In about 3 weeks.
Okay, so is the range being installed soon?
The range being installed Monday, Tuesday next week, yeah. So a couple of weeks to sort of get everything else tidied up and finished.
You and Jamie went to Holland a few weeks ago?
Yeah, we went over to the Cubitech factory to see the range.
What was that factory tour like?
Incredible.
Really?
I mean, I've done it before. I did it about 5 or 6 years ago when I was involved with the Young Fish Fryers. They took us over there then. But I've slept a few times since. I've forgot just how amazing it is. And I probably appreciate it a little bit more this time round because it's my range that's being built.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, it's absolutely insane the amount of detail that goes into every single build, and you can sort of appreciate why they cost what they do, and why they are.
We're just looking at that factory alone, isn't it? Like,
exactly. The size of it and scale, it's crazy, and that's for me why they sort of are the leaders in the.
I went around the old Cromco factory. Before it was probably QB Tech.
They only moved a few years ago.
I think it was an independent company back then, as in Cromco only.
Oh, okay.
And even then, you walk around and you think, whoa, like you could see like there was machines doing things, there was people that looked really happy as well. And I remember,
robot welds and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think about a year before that, I went I went round a company factory in the UK that make ranges. It's not around no more, but it was only a year between. But when you go to each factory, there was 50 years between them, because the one there was no high vis, there was no nothing, there was sparks flying all over the place. You know, at one point I nearly got trampled on by some machine, and then a load of metal was falling on the floor. It was just proper chaos. And then I thought to myself, I'm going to Holland now. I wonder what it's going to be like over there.
Everything is so regimented and everything. It's really, really good. Immaculate. And all the workers that they've got working there and stuff, they're so friendly and happy with the job, and I think that makes a massive difference.
Makes it feel good.
In whatever line of work, I think you've got to be happy, and you've got to have a good working environment and stuff.
I think I think the Dutch ranges. I know, again, like if we look at the Facebook groups, you get a lot of people that say stay away, avoid. Yeah, wow, it's a pan cost. But there's more to it. Like
it's like what we try and do when we're at the training school is we explain, because we've got to remain impartial, obviously, but we explain things like it's like buying a car. If you want to buy a Ferrari, it's going to cost you a lot of money. It'll get you from A to B, but it'll do it a lot faster and it's a lot flashier and stuff. But obviously, if the brakes fail, it's going to cost you a lot more to pay for the brakes to be fixed.
I think you're right. I think you've got to assess your needs.
Yeah.
And if you have a shop that doesn't warrant it, then don't.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not going to encourage someone that's taking three or 4 or 5 grand a week to go out and buy a 40, 50 grand range. It's not necessary.
I've always said to people when because I do get people that reach out to me and say, what range shall I buy? And for me, generally, I'm quite biased here. It's mostly the 2 Dutch at the top of the tree. But I will say to them, if you're only looking for a 2-pan range, don't bother. Yeah. And go get yourself a 3-pan British range. Yeah. Because you need that extra pan. Yeah. Because if you've got a 2-pan range, it's like having one.
You've got to sort of future-proof yourself with that as well. I mean, we've been able to, fortunately, have a 4-pan island range. We may not need the second fish pan for
You'd rather have it, though.
Yeah, exactly, because we're optimistic that it is going to do really well and we're going to need it. We're right next to a big industrial estate. You've got a lot of housing around there, schools, caravan sites, and it's on a big passing road through from Morecambe through to Lancaster and stuff. So, we've future-proofed ourselves with it. So
no, I think that's the key thing, and I think you've done the right thing there. I just again, this argument online where you see people say don't buy a Dutch range because it might cost you X for a pan, and ultimately,
we've managed to get a service package that has 10-year warranty on it. We pay a little bit extra a month and stuff, but it's the peace of mind of that.
If something goes wrong, they come out and fix it. It's the onus is on them. So for the first 10 years, you're actually not stress free, because it's not going to be seamless, but at least a lot less stress than what it could have been.
Exactly.
So I think for me, it's like I think the biggest thing is when I used to throw on like Preston and Thomas's like back in the day, like when I was young, and it's got welds everywhere. There's lids on it, and I remember then we got the Kremko, and it was like it was chalk and cheese, completely. And filtration, I don't think I'd ever buy a range without filtration. No, ever. So
people again, but this is one of the things that we were saying before about people wanting to save a little bit of money. It costs a little bit extra to have built-in filtration. It might cost you $5,000, but long term, if you consider the amount of time it takes you to manually filter or not filter, how much that's going to cost in throwing oil away, it literally pays for itself within 12 to 24 months or something like that.
Well, the fact is that categorically, oil will last longer with filtration.
Absolutely,
and not only will it last longer, but it will last longer in a better state. Yeah. So you've increased the middle ground where it's better. So I think where people say, filtration don't work, that's not the case. And you can see, like years ago, chips used to have speckles all over them, black speckles. Nowadays, if we see one little black speck on chips, we all lose our mind.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that tells you how far the industry's gone.
Yeah, absolutely,
And years ago, the idea of cleaning your oil was to throw a bucket of chips in. That's essentially
so
what it was.
It all sticks,
because, it just all literally sticks to it. And I remember when I first started, because we did not have filtration, my dad always says, that Preston and Thomas went in the June after I was born. And I was like, I'm back in my day. And you think and even the other day I was talking to Greg Howard at the NWF board, and he was saying, you had to jump over the ignition if it misfired, because it would throw out this this huge ball of fire. And I remember doing that a few times. And you think now we don't see that at all. Another thing was if the thermostat hit the limiter, say it was 180 degrees where you'd set it, a fire alarm would go off.
Yeah.
That was normal.
Yeah.
Like now, I heard it in a shop not long ago, and I was like, "Whoa, what's going on?" Like I thought it was a
yeah.
fire, but it was normal. Like nowadays with Chromecos and Florigos and new ranges, you don't really have none of those big alarms. It's just temperatures there. All right, we need to celebrate. No, it's just there. Like, you know. So no. I think that's interesting that you've gone and straight away just put in a good range. So at least you know you're setting your standard from day one.
Well, that's it. I mean, like I say, we've researched what we want and how we want things, and we only want the best, really, and because we only want to do it once. We made a lot of mistakes with the packet bridge over the years, replacing things and trying different things out and stuff, and some things have worked, some things haven't, and you learn from that. And we basically want to kit it out as best as we can so that we don't have to touch it for 10 years.
Just a bit of maintenance.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
So do you see yourself doing like deliveries, collections, stuff like that, or?
Potentially, but most probably not. In regards to deliveries, I know it's a big thing that's coming, and over the years you are going to have to learn to adapt to it. But whilst we can resist ourselves from doing it, I will do, for the simple reason, customers' perception of the product that they receive in the shop compared to what you can get it to them at their house is completely different. You're putting the responsibility on yourself to get that meal as perfectly as you can to their doorstep, and I just think it's really, really difficult to achieve. I know there's a shop, is it Nana Jan's? They've got a really, really good concept where they only do it to a small area. So they've sort of monopolised their area, which is a great idea.
Estate, so it works out perfectly,
Yeah. But for me, it's just a little bit of an added stress. It is something that, obviously, like I say, we will future-proof and look into it, and we have sort of set up in regards to the electrics for having a back screen for doing prep work and stuff like that, and with an additional till and stuff, which could potentially be for click and collect or, like say, deliveries and stuff like that.
I think the click and collect is a big thing. I think at least you can, we've got the guy from Prio Day coming on soon, and he's one that does the front end for us, and like Nana Jan's and so on, fish and chicken and all of that, and you think like I can see where there's something quite good about someone on their phone or online just quickly logging in. Oh, I fancy fish and chips tonight. I'm going to collect it at 6 o'clock. You know already. You're ready for it. And you just have it ready. It's paid for, ordered. They just come and collect it.
Again, that's probably more something that we'd look towards. In respect to, like, we're in a big industrial area where we are there, and people only have half an hour for the lunch. If there's a group of 10 people from the same workplace, they're not going to want to wait around for 10, 15 minutes for a big order. They're going to want it ready for 12 o'clock, and they want to pick it up and go. So it is probably something that we are going to have to look into.
You mentioned that you've got Jordan, Stephen, and Jamie, who I nearly called James. What's it been like encouraging younger people to come through the industry, and then also managing them? How have you found that?
For me, that's something I've always wanted to do. Like I say, with getting involved with the Young Fish Fries and something, that's always something I strive towards doing. We took Jordan and Stephen on. Well, I'll talk about Jamie first, actually. Jamie was working with us part-time whilst working another job. And then later down the line, he came back to us to work full-time. He's been with us about 7.5 years now. And we've worked quite side by side. We work on the same level in that respect. I don't feel like I'm above him or vice versa or anything like that. We work together, and we want to achieve the highest of standards possible. He believes in what we do and where we want to go, and I think that's the main thing, is getting them to believe in what you do. Like I say, so he's been with us 7.5 years now. We took Stephen and Jordan on from high school. They were the prefects at a local school, so we knew they were going to be good guys. They both went off to university.
They were both in school together?
Both in. They actually, a funny story, they actually grew up together. Their parents were really good friends, so they've known each other since kids. Went to the same school together and stuff, and then obviously now they're working together with me. And they've been with us 5 years. I let them go off to university and come back and work as and when they wanted or needed to. Stephen ended up actually commuting from home in his second and third year, so was able to work a little bit more in the evenings and stuff after he'd finished university. So he gained a lot of experience from doing that. And we sort of allowed them to have that responsibility of running the shop and getting them involved in frying as quickly as possible. We didn't have them just set on doing a certain job. We wanted them to learn more about the shop and about the business as well. And I think that's it. Again, it's important that you sort of bring them into the business. They're not there just to work for you; they're there to work with you, and that's the important thing for me.
Yeah, well, I think you've done a hard thing where you've sort of like not only brought in 3 into the industry, but you've sort of kept them as well. Like, and you know, they obviously enjoy it. We were all together on the weekend, except for Jamie. But you know, they seem like they're really into the industry. Yeah, and that's a hard thing. Yeah, because
like I say, I'm very passionate about what I do and about the industry and about improving standards and stuff. And I think they've sort of believed in that as well, and they've taken it on board. And like I say, I asked them if they wanted to get involved in the Young Fish Fryers, and the first answer straight away was yes. They both wanted to do it, which was great for me. They've both achieved a lot more, not than I expected them to, but I wanted them to. I know how good they both are. I know how good they both can be, and I've believed in them. I've helped them along the way, but they've proved themselves to be as good as they are. I can only help them so much until they've got to do it themselves, but they've taken it on board really, really well. And I couldn't be proud of them.
How have you guys managed with like all the price increases the last few years? You know, obviously the potatoes they've settled out now, potatoes, but fish probably hasn't, and it probably won't for a little bit, if ever.
It was really, really difficult last year when both were sky high. It's more this year, wasn't it? It was earlier this year as well. Both were really, really sky high. We put our prices up slightly in January on both fish and chips, and then 3 months down the line we decided to go again. But we actually put 40 pence on the fish. Like I say, it was due to the prices not coming down anytime soon, and obviously with all that's going on with Brexit and a little bit of scaremongering, that it's not looking like the prices are going to go down again anytime soon. Minimum wage went up about 37 pence at the same time, but when we did that, we introduced the light bite meal, which again we like to represent good value for money, and I think that's what helped with it. Like I say, none of the customers have complained, so we feel like we've done the right thing and we've done a good job of it.
Well, it's really hard to strike the balance of being value for money.
Yeah,
and I think I do see a lot of, and I think where I probably disagree with many in the industry is that a lot of people would just say, put your prices up.
Yeah, it's not that straightforward.
And I don't think it is, because I think Banico said it in his last podcast. Do you want people to think about coming to the fish and chip shop?
No, it has to be an instant answer.
Yeah, and you think, go to the chippy or go to the fish shop or whatever. Yeah. Like, I fancy haddock and chips, cod and chips, whatever it may be. So if all of a sudden it's going to cost us 12 quid. Yeah. Straight away it's like, oh my god, like here we go.
But you compare it to like minimum wage and stuff like that. It's further away from an hour's work than it's probably ever been.
Yeah.
And like I say, maybe this might come across as a little bit arrogant or whatever, but I firmly believe my fish and chips should be worth £7 or £8.
I understand that feeling, and we spoke about it earlier, and I think that not everyone's fish and chips is worth top value.
And that's where we're going to struggle.
And to be fair, and without slating anybody here, nor is everybody's Chinese food, and nor is everybody's Indian food.
No.
But maybe that's where the market plays out anyway.
Yeah.
And people will vote with their feet.
Yeah.
But I think that for me, you know, even the other day I saw on the Facebook groups, it was something like, what should I put my fish up by? Didn't tell us what he was paying.
You need a little bit more information. Yeah. Like it's your location. It's what your other shops around you are charging.
Initially, I think what people need is a bearing of their cost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how much is it costing me?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's
You'd be surprised about how many people don't understand and know the margins of each individual item on the menu. And again, that's when portion control becomes so important to people. And
is this something you see a lot on the school, like when you're at the school, like people not knowing their portions, or is it more out external?
Both.
All right.
Both. Yeah. People. I basically, if they've obviously had a bit of experience or they've got a shop, we'll say, show me what you do as a regular portion, and then we just show them how much you can actually be saving and making. and then you price that up over the year, over the week, over the months, over the years, and it's amazing how much money you can lose or literally be thrown away by not getting your portion control correct.
I'd argue years ago when I first started. Probably give away my age a little bit here, which is not that old. But you think I'm well old anyway. So,
At least 15 years older than me.
You were 30 the other day, 35, thank you. Yeah, 50. So maybe the Turks have got better genes. So, but I think that the majority of fish and chip shops in the UK were using wet fish.
Yeah.
And that over the last 15, 20 years has massively changed.
Yeah.
So like massively skewed towards
We're about
frozen
80-85% now, aren't we?
So I'd argue that then people knew the fillet cost because they'd order 40 counts or a stone and you knew exactly how much that fillet was costing you. Whereas now if someone's buying a 1632 frozen at sea, they're cutting it down. They might not count everyone at the end. They might just do it once a week.
It's all about maximising your yield as well, though. We buy 32 plus skinless and boneless cod. And everything is filleted down, and every single fish is weighed. There's not one piece of fish that we sell in our shop that hasn't been weighed, because if I can take one goujon off a piece of fish because it's 7.5 ounces, and I bring that fish down to 6.5, I'm maximising my yield there. And for me, consistency is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And I like all my fish to be a regimented shape and size as well as weight.
Yeah, if you start saying, oh, well, you know what, they're a little bit on the larger side, let customers have it. Well, that's nice. It's a nice feeling, but they get used to that.
Exactly, So and then they think the next time they come in and they have a slightly smaller one, then they think, that's being a little bit stingy, So we always try to work between 6 and 7 ounces, and we are very, very strict with that. In that respect, and like I say, now we've introduced the light bite meal. It makes our offcuts a little bit easier to get used up, and fish bites, fish cakes. We do both the breaded and the Yorkshire one.
I'm not a fan of the Yorkshire one. I'm not biased, by the way, just to clarify.
It should really be called a Lancashire one, because I make it Lancashire.
But no, I'm going to start the War of the Roses.
Yeah, Mark Drummond won't be happy with saying that.
You'll have Andrew Crook cheering you on, though. But I think that for me, I've never liked those big bricky type fish cakes.
Yeah.
I like a homemade fish cake with mashed potato. I like that.
Yeah.
The
thing is, around our area as well, we've got quite a few caravan sites. So there's a lot of people coming to Morecambe on the holidays and stuff like that, and they might have come from across Yorkshire way or something, or been brought up there. You want to
show them how it's done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, basically. Yeah. Mark said I was too generous with my fish last time.
Oh, God, he would, wouldn't he? But no, I think for me, it's utilising every little bit that's available.
Exactly.
You go to a butcher's, nothing goes to waste.
No, and that's again, it's what I like to stress when I'm doing the training. It's not about making everything the same way. It's about maximising your yield and stuff, and getting everything as regimented as possible. Yeah. Some people will have like a completely flat, wide piece of fish, and then it'll be served next to a big, chunky, thin fillet.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make it, or narrow fillet, should I say, not a thin.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And that's not showing consistent to me. They might be the same weight, but they look completely different.
Customers' expectations, especially when they see the shorter, thicker fillet, they're being mugged off. Now they're getting a more premium product, though. In fairness,
we had a TripAdvisor review where someone was complaining about it, but he had literally eaten half of the fish, and then he measured it up next to 2 fingers, and I was like, it's not giving a fair reading, though, is it? But the thing is, you go into a supermarket.
That's a scientific experiment there, isn't it?
Yeah, you ought to see the messages between me and my brother afterwards. But no, you go into a supermarket and you pay for fish based on its weight. So that, for me, that's the fairest way of us doing it in our shops.
It's a shame in some ways that we can't implement that market rate.
Yeah, where we weigh the fish before it's served.
Weigh the fish before it's fried or whatever, and say, here you go. This is like the wood steak, or
I think you could potentially do that in a restaurant because the service is slightly slower. But takeaways, I think it would be difficult to do.
Maybe to some degree, you could put like a little note underneath saying, fancy something a bit bigger?
Yeah.
It's this much per kilo, for argument's sake, per gram or whatever.
Yeah.
Again, it's a bit of a ball ache, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think if people do want a bigger piece, then I suppose it's just allowing for that.
Well, this is one of the things again that frustrates me a little bit is again it's customer perception. They'll come in, they'll order a fish and chips. Now they might have a slightly larger appetite, but they expect that to fill them. But they're not. They won't come in and say, I'll have a large chips with that. Whereas you go to McDonald's and everything's like, would you like a large? Yeah, sure. And it's difficult to get the right balance, I think.
I think in England we haven't really especially on the fast food side, we probably haven't got it down to a fine art. And I think, if you look at, the Americanized ones, they know how to roll out concepts fast, and that's probably at the cost of the food, no doubt. But I think, one thing I saw the other day was their pricing model, and that they will have a normal sort of price for the small.
Yeah.
And then the medium price will actually be higher than where it should be.
Yeah.
Because that encourages people to say, oh, it's only 20p for a large.
Exactly, yeah.
And so we don't do none of that. And I think fish and chips is, I think it's a fairly honest takeaway. I think,
absolutely.
And I think, you can't pad it out. You can't, you can't
it is what it
adulterate it or anything.
But again, I think that's what goes a bit underappreciated as well, is that everything we serve is raw and natural produce. People just see it as sort of a greasy, deep-fried product, and it's far from that if cooked properly.
Well, we can't get past the fact that it's deep-fried.
No, of course not, no.
And I think that...
but it's certainly a healthy option in regards to fast food.
I think it's healthier.
Yeah.
And I think that, after all those years of looking at all those analysis reports of I don't think I ever saw one that was like, oh, bloody hell, that's a bit...
Yeah,
was never
but
that.
Again, it always comes down to portion control as well. If you're going to serve a bigger portion or you're going to eat more, then it's obviously going to become more unhealthy for you.
Domino's sell pizzas one at a time. Like, if you choose to eat the whole thing,
exactly,
that's your fault. Like, don't go blaming Domino's.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you go to KFC and eat a whole bucket of chicken, which I sometimes fancy, I've never done.
Maybe a few years ago.
Which, you know what I mean? Like, don't go blaming the proprietor or the franchisee or whatever. Like, and I think in this country especially, we're probably a little bit more, what's the word? Probably a bit socialised in that respect. We like to blame everybody else. Instead of just saying, look, mate, not being funny, you've had your fish and chips, but you've also had a pizza today, and you've not walked except for to the takeaway. So you can't blame it all on, you can't just tax companies. It's not right, in my view.
No.
But I think we do have a responsibility, and I've always said this, to make sure that we do it in the healthiest way possible. Yeah. Well, which also...
It all comes down to good oil management and all that sort of thing as well.
Doing it right is also healthier in our
which ties back into your consistency and all that sort of thing, and your filtration and stuff like that as well. So
no, definitely. And I think, good oil management is key, because I think that is what's going to create the crispiest, tastiest, nicest fish and chips.
Absolutely, yeah.
In my view. So... do you see yourself... Well, we're a bit of backstory here. So you've entered Dry White Young Fish Fry in 2012 and 13.
Yeah.
So do you see yourself jumping in with like Sea Fish Awards?
Well, I'm not a young fish fry anymore, so
you now have to jump into OYF. No, DOFFY.
Yeah.
So Dry White Old Fish Fry.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's what I said. Mark Drummond's an old fish fry. So no, obviously there's no obviously competition for that. But do you see yourself entering like the Sea Fish Awards and stuff like
that? Potentially, yeah. We've always said we'd like to reach that height, but I'm not too. I'm completely 100% for the awards. I believe that people should enter if they're willing enough to win, and sort of work to that sort of standard. And in my eyes, I just want to work to that standard where we are that sort of working towards that them sort of heights. Really, I'm not too sure whether I could cope with the stress of it all. Really, I'd like to be able to, but yeah.
So you said earlier that the new shop, you've decked it out almost with the intention to win.
Yeah.
But
that's just my sort of mindset. My mindset is if I'm entering a competition, I'm entering it to win it. I'm not entering it to come second.
So it's not that you've done it for the competition. What you're saying is regardless of whether I enter or not, I want to be at that standard.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it.
And I think that... So just to throw a contention, because I told you I was going to do this, so don't look surprised now, but do you think you should have to have a new shop to win the awards? Or at least a high standard shop in that respect? Which is very subjective in itself.
No, but I don't think it does. And I think that is people's perception, that you do need a brand new shop. You don't need a brand new shop to win the competition. Others have won it without previously. But it does make things easier. It's easier to clean a 2-year-old fridge. It's easier to maintain a 5-year-old range rather than a 15-year-old range.
Which you know.
And I think, I think that's what's held us back with the packet bridge. I think as a business model, I think we tick a lot of boxes to be entering the Fish and Chip Shop of the Year. But again, my mindset is there's a little few jobs that need tweaking here and there. We've still got equipment there that has been inherited from the previous owner. the range, the Bay Maries, all that sort of thing. And I think that is what, it may not hold us back, but in my mind, that's what would. And like I say, I want to enter to win, so I wouldn't want to be thinking about things that are going to mark us down and all that sort of thing, whereas starting afresh with the new shop probably eases my mindset a little bit, ready to go into the awards. Yeah. So yeah, I think it is a possibility. It all depends on the team we're able to build up at the new shop. But like I say, the Packet Bridge has got everything in place to do so. We've got the right branding, we've got the right team, the right representatives for the industry, and I think we serve a really, really good product as well to back that up. So
I think so. The common argument is A, you need a Dutch range to win, and B, you've got to have a new shop to win. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're both true. I actually think that it just so happens that lots of winners have Dutch ranges, and also lots of winners have new shops, or at least newish shops. But I think let's just assume it wasn't the case. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't that be pretty naff if a naff-looking shop had won the awards?
This is exactly it.
Surely it's there to drive the industry
You're
forward.
A representative of the industry. So if the standards are that you've got a 15-year-old looking shop that's looking a bit tired and stuff, you might serve a good product and your service might be really good and you're able to back it up with other things, but it doesn't really give a good impression of overall fish and chips, in my opinion. Like I say, it's not fair on some people maybe because that's what they're restricted to. But again, if you're working, just work towards them sort of standards and you'll achieve good things.
How important has self-development and training been for you over the years? You're still a young lad, but
to be fair, in regards to self-development, I've been very, very much encouraged by my brother a lot. He's helped me along the way. He's a lot more strong-minded than I am, and without his help, I probably wouldn't be where I am today in that respect. He helped me along with the young fish fries, encouraged me to get involved in that, and we've come on leaps and bounds in regards to the training and stuff. But again, like I was saying about David Miller earlier, I'm a big believer in making sure that you are always learning, you are always listening to other people. Like I say, with the Quality Award, I get to go around other shops and see how they're operating, and I pick things up from them, I learn from them. Just listening and speaking to other people at like the Ball and all that sort of thing, you get motivated by that for me. And that's what I do really love about the industry, is that there's people out there to help you, there's people out there to encourage you and aspire to be like. I'd absolutely look, for instance, the Packet Bridge to be like the Millers. And again, I think we're far away in that respect. I think we do a lot of things just as good, if not better, in certain areas. But again, there's a lot to learn as well.
What do you think is let's rephrase this. What are the risks or the biggest sort of industry risks to the industry? Which wasn't very good at rephrasing, but what are the challenges of the industry, let's say?
Fish prices are a massive one, I think, at the moment. I've never known it to be this high for this long. I think someone put something on the Facebook group a few months ago, an invoice from 6-7 years ago. The price of a case of cod was 75 quid. It's now doubled. We're paying more than that now. My price of fish hasn't doubled in that time. I'm
sort of starting to think that it's by design. Mm-hmm. I'm not being funny. Like the podcast with Bobby Joyce, he essentially said there used to be loads of boats, now there's a lot less. Mm-hmm. So that tells me that someone's trying to build like an OPEC type system, where they sort of, and I don't blame them. If I had a commodity that people died to go get, I'd want the most amount of money possible.
Absolutely.
So I get it, but where is that fine line?
But this is where we've got to change the mindset of customers in the respect that fish isn't cheap. No. It is a good quality product. I almost feel like with the 32 plus fish that we buy, it's almost like serving a fillet steak, and we're selling it for £4.70. Yeah, we're at £4.70 for a 7-ounce piece of a fillet of fish. And I don't think it's sort of, how do I word it? It's not sort of respected in that respect.
A long time ago, I said that people are going to have to start looking at selling alternatives.
Yeah.
And we just somehow. I'm not.
I do get that, but I don't think. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
don't think we should devalue our product though.
I don't think it's devaluing. I think it's more choice. Number one,
Yeah.
and not being funny, you can't be sustainable at anything if you're overfishing it.
Yeah.
Like if your goal is to go out today and catch, I don't know, 800. I don't know if that's possible, but let's say 800 tons of cod only.
Yeah.
That's not even. I don't care how people say it's sustainable. It's just not. Like the key of sustainability is actually providing choice, which then reduces the amount of sort of supply. Let's say supply and demand.
Yeah.
I think that somehow we're just going to have to start teaching people, or at least giving options on hake, pollock, coley, ling. And saying, look, if you want cod, that's fine, but you're paying fillet steak price.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And if you want pollock, it's £2 less.
The only problem with that is where do you stop with it? We've tried introducing things like sea bass and hake and plaice, and sometimes they sell great, but sometimes they just end up going on my dinner plate because they're gonna go to waste, and then you're not actually making any money out of it. And
no. And I remember years ago.
I think it does work better for restaurants and stuff, but it's difficult in the takeaway in the respect that people go in there knowing what they're going to have. They've almost got the right change out before they've even got in there.
We discussed this, didn't we? It was about like the McDonald's. They brought out the salad and the sandwiches, and everyone went in, and Big Mac sales went up. So I just think that. I think that something like a long-term project is going to have to start, and it's going to have to be, have you considered trying pollock? Nothing else, no 10 different fish.
Yeah.
And the biggest mistake I made back in the day, way back when, was that I had 8 different fish on the board that weren't cod or haddock.
Yeah.
And there was so much waste. It was stupid. And I remember customers was like, we want to try one of those, but there's so many to choose from.
Yeah.
Whereas I think if you just say it's cod and haddock, and then we're going to have this on the menu for the next year, and no matter what, we're going to keep plugging away at it for a year.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes it's like, I had a bad week, I'm dumping it all.
Yeah.
Whereas if you do it for a year, whether it's Newlyn hake, hake from Cornwall, Brixham, whether it's, it can be frozen at sea. It doesn't matter what I'm saying.
Yeah, but again, I think a lot of it's down to probably regional as well.
Of course,
there's some people that can literally land it and sell it within a couple of days or whatever. So the quality is maybe a little bit better, and it's sort of I don't know, like a seaside place where they eat a lot of seafood and they like to try a lot of different things.
Well, if you look at the London regions, they do a lot of cod, haddock. They'll do skate, they do rockfish, they do plaice, and there's probably like they've got 5 or 6 species on the menu at all times.
Yeah,
like,
I love the concepts of like the scallop shell and what's the cod scallops and stuff like that. I love their sort of ideas of having like the wet fish counter and stuff like that, and doing all these varieties of things. But it works for them.
No, of course.
And I'm not too sure whether it would work in my area.
I just think, how do we? The British population are really hung up on cod, haddock, salmon, prawns. The other one, cod, haddock, salmon, prawns. There's something else.
We sell squid and stuff like that. As well.
I just think that if they're gonna pay fillet steak prices, then that's fine. But that puts
it's getting them willing to do it though.
I think it's got to be cheaper. It's got to be, that's fact. You can't buy, let's say, coley, which is, I don't know, at the moment it's probably £60 a case, give or take, and don't go quoting that because I might be slightly wrong, everyone. But you can't go selling that for the same price as haddock and cod.
No,
you've got to accept that.
Of course,
So I think the only way you're going to get people on board is to say, have you tried it? Here's a sample. Oh, and by the way, it's £2.
But it's ensuring you're getting the same margins, and it's also ensuring that you're getting that you're not wasting it as well.
You'll be able to get more margin.
Yeah.
And then as long as you're making fish cakes, there's no waste.
Well, that's the good thing about the light bite meal as well, is there's probably a little bit more margin in it, but it's a good, healthy, nutritious meal as well, and it's probably enough for people at lunchtimes. Whereas I think that's probably what we struggle with at the Packet Bridge, is that the lunchtimes aren't as busy as I'd like to be.
I think you're not alone there.
But again, it's regional. Yeah. The Westgate Fish and Chip Shop is going to be really busy at lunchtimes because we've got a big industrial estate around us, so... it all depends on where you are.
I think the likes of like Greggs and all that lot have just decimated.
Yeah, we've got a Greggs next door.
If you can go to Greggs and get, I don't know, like a lunchtime meal for £3 with a drink, it's not going to be good for anybody.
No,
but again, it's different.
Yeah, I mean, we've not even considered a coffee machine at the new shop or anything like that because Greggs is next door and they're selling coffee like
99 or something.
It's so cheap.
And it's not bad coffee.
It's not bad coffee at all.
It's not the best, but it's definitely not bad.
So it's just one of them things that we're not going to bother investing in.
So what do you love about the industry?
I touched on it a little bit before. It's sort of the people that we've the friends that I've made and stuff in within the industry. If I call you a friend, I don't know. But no,
look, mate, you don't have to be nice because I'm sitting here.
No, but it's just sort of the network, the community, sort of feel that the industry has. I've met a lot of good people from there that I've been friends with for many years. And it all, like I say, this is what is so encouraging about the awards and all that sort of thing about the balls and stuff like that, is that you meet so many good people that you can be friends with outside of the industry as well. You know, Craig Buckley's invited me on his stag do. Who'd have thought that a few years ago that I'd be going to Marbella or whatever with somebody who owns another fish and chip shop, and that's how we've become really good friends from there. And yeah, I just think that that's why more people should get involved, because there's so many people out there to help each other and learn from and be inspired by. I think that's what's really good. Like I say, back in 2012 when I first started with the awards and stuff like that, there was so many people that I met, and over the years that's just grown and grown and grown. The more I've got involved with the training at Federation and stuff and all that sort of thing. So yeah,
if you look back at what the Sunday that just went, and it was the NFFF ball. Like, you literally, there isn't a moment, is there? Like you're just constantly talking to someone.
That's exactly it. And then I saw like Craig Moore the next morning. I'm like, I'm so sorry, I didn't even get round to see you last night, because there's so many people that I now know that I'm friendly with, that I can network with, and learn from. And that's the really, really good, encouraging part. And you meet new people. Like obviously, you introduced me to Banico. He's a great guy, and we had a really, really good conversation and stuff. No, obviously I've never met or heard him before, and then he started speaking to me, and I was like, "That's not Greek."
Scouse.
Yeah, I was like, "What?" Yeah, it was a bit strange hearing him talk, but no.
I always say about the nick in the wallet, because he will listen to this. He gets really annoyed about that joke. He's like, oh, it's an old one. Like,
yeah, but no, I learned a lot just from having a 20-minute, half an hour conversation with him of what he does and how he works and what he believes in, and I think that's what it's all about. Is learning from other people that are on your level, that you're working alongside, really, because we're all in it together, aren't we? We've all got to sort of raise the standard of fish and chips, and the more people that believe in what you believe in, the more you're going to inspire others to do so. And like I say, in regards to obviously touching on the quality standards across the board, that's what everybody should be working towards, really, I think.
And sort of what would be the opposite of that? What do you dislike in the industry? We probably already touched on it, but how would you clean that up?
I would probably go on the opposite way, sort of talking about maybe how many bad operators there are, how many people are unwilling to listen and learn. I've been in this industry 30 years. I know what I'm doing. You can't tell me what to do. And I don't like that mentality. I don't like that mindset where you're not open for change, because like you say, the industry 10 years ago when I first started out is completely different to how it is now. You know, we were talking on Chippy Chat 10 years ago. Now it's just on social media, on Facebook. You know, marketing has changed. You used to market in the newspaper, on the radio station. Now it's just on social media, because everybody's on the phone. It's quick, it's accessible, and it's cheap. And that's the I won't say it's a bad thing or a thing, but it's a frustrating thing for me, is that people aren't willing to sort of accept that things are changing and they want to do things a bit differently.
Well, you either move or get dragged, or you take your choice.
Well, that's it.
So, but I think if you look at look at the Chippy Chat thing, our industry was slow to react to the online thing, because I remember.
But it was brilliant. Yeah, it was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. I remember Mark used to get calls all the time from wholesalers, manufacturers, whatever, and they'd be like, "Oh, someone said something negative on our page." He goes, "I don't own." Well, he goes, "I own the page, but I don't own the text." They'd be like, "Well, you know, can you delete it?" And he was like, "Well, no, not really. I can't delete it." And they were like, and there'd be this weird this impasse, because they'd be like, "Well, you know, we support this page, and you're letting people slag us off." And he goes, "Well, it's not. It's a genuine complaint." And then he sells the magazine.
It's not for Mark to deal with it.
No, exactly. And he sells the magazine, he sells the online thing, and he's just like, "Well, now watch everything." And he just said to me, he goes, "Watch everything go to Facebook." And it's true. Look now, every day on Facebook. Like if I see another pucker pie thing on Facebook, I might shoot myself. But it's just like, I think that, that's the thing. Like, it's the whole thing now is just, it's changed. Like, the people.
But even on the Facebook pages and stuff like that, you just read comments from people, and again, I've done it this way for years, and it's all a bit of a sort of how big's my yacht compared to yours. I used the word yacht. Yeah.
I was going to say
I was going to say something else.
The other word stayed in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a bit of like that. My way is the best way, and it. I think the one that frustrated me, it was a while back now, but someone said, "Should I use rice cones?" And the feedback that people were giving, yes, no. Yes, no.
A lot of thought went into it. Obviously.
Yeah, it's like be constructive, help people out, explain why you use it and why it's positive, explain why it's negative,
or how it can be negative.
Exactly,
And one of the honestly, that is probably the most asked question I get. Oh, rice cones are bad, aren't they?
Yeah.
No, who told you that? Oh, well, someone told
me.
Well,
this is one of the learning curves that we had when we first took over the shop. We were using rice cones. And we thought that was the bad thing about our batter because we had the stodgy layer between the batter. And it wasn't. It was the fact that we hadn't had any professional training and we didn't understand that if you're using rice cones, you need to thin your batter down. And that's what we have to, when I'm doing the training at the Federation, is I say, well, myself and David Miller, we don't use rice cones and this is why, but Craig Buckley, he does use rice cones, and this is why he does it.
I could probably do a 30-minute podcast on rice cones and I'd probably still run out of time. Honestly, I think that it is just one of those things that people are so passionate about.
Yeah.
And it's probably for all the wrong
reasons. But be constructive about it, yeah.
It's probably for all the wrong reasons. I think it gets a bad rap.
Yeah.
People don't understand it.
Yeah.
The fact is, and this is the fact, I can give you a book that is 400 pages long and it's the science of breading and batters. And it tells you the drier and rougher the surface, the more uptake you get.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
There you go. So what's dry and rough?
Yeah.
Well, rice cone or rice flour. So, but I think people just think, oh, but you get that stodginess and blah, blah, blah. It's just like goes on and on and on.
Direct them how to use it properly and stuff like that. Because some people they'll literally rice cone a full tray of fish and leave it sat there. And that, again, that's bad practice. It's not right.
It becomes into like a fishy rice pudding.
Exactly, yeah. It's all about dusting it just before you put it into the batter and it's ready to go. But educating people to say, look, you need to thin your batter down ever so slightly.
Yeah. And one thing your brother was saying today was like, talking about the sort of negatives of the industry is that he hates the fact that, that we constantly have to defend fish and chips constantly. And we're always on the back foot.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts there?
I'd agree with that to a certain respect. It's just like, it's like I said to you before, fish and chips is a deep fried, greasy meal, and it's not. But for me, we need to be educating people why it's good. Not just defending ourselves, but sort of saying... Promoting it, yeah, exactly. Saying this is how good it is. Years ago, we got our food nutritionally tested and we compared it to the likes of KFC, Domino's, McDonald's, and we said, but we weren't the best for every single individual thing. I think carbohydrates were lower for... KFC or something like that. But we basically said, this is what it is, and this is our product. So yeah, I don't like the fact that we are getting a lot of negative press, but I think we need to be sort of proactive with it.
And I think it's something I want to talk to Andrew about, because we have got a podcast planned before just after Christmas, one of the two, a yearly wrap up. And I think that there's just so much energy used in either defending or putting out fires instead of just saying, here's why we're great constantly.
Yeah.
And I think we need to sort of be on the front foot instead of the back foot.
Yeah.
And I get why, I get it, but there's always a lot of outrage. Look at that article that went out the other week and it was about North Sea fish.
Yeah.
And a lot of people kicked off. And
I mean, there might be bad stories going out there, but you don't know how much people are reading into it.
Probably not. In today's news.
Exactly. There is that as well. So people might just be a little bit dismissive of it. See it, it looks bad for fish and chips, but how much are people actually paying attention to it? How many people think, well, my fish and chips at my local chippy is good enough, so I don't care?
And I had some reports saying that people were busy that weekend because of the whole scare. Or I don't think I told you this earlier. I don't think it's the scare.
Yeah.
I think it's just fish and chips was in the news.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, fish and chips. I'll have some of that tonight.
Yeah, I mean, and the whole thing with the Tesco thing, putting that out there, again, undervaluing the meal, trying to undercut the.
I never saw a problem with that.
That's the thing. Yeah. It's whether you do see a problem with it or not.
I think for me, it's I think people recognise that a Findus package in the fridge is a 2.5 ounce whatever, not cod or haddock, because it's whatever the market dictates.
You get what you pay for.
Exactly. It's $2.99. I think should I tell you what market that's for? That's probably for the elderly that have that in the freezer or the fridge and can't get out.
Yeah.
And, it's probably, it's not a big seller.
No.
And
I don't think it's something that we need to worry about.
No, not at all. I think we've got to pick our fight.
Yeah.
And I think that instead of, and I think Andrew's doing a great job, so I don't want this to sound like, I don't think he's doing a great job.
Yeah, he definitely is, yeah.
And the NFFF overall have done a great job, but I think they need more proactive forward thinking instead of dealing with things that are in the news today. And I don't
think we have to react to everything. That's all I would say.
I think so. That whole thing about North Sea, there was a lot of comments saying, "Oh, why do they keep coming after fish and chips?" The story wasn't as inaccurate as what people think. It was pretty on point. But the difference is, it doesn't affect 95% of the fish and chip shops in the UK because they use frozen at sea, Norwegian, Icelandic, Faroese. Just
because it's fish related doesn't mean we need to take offence to it. So it's revolving around supermarkets and restaurants and all that sort of thing. It's not just fish and chip shop.
All we have to do is just put, as an industry, is put a post on everyone's fish and chip page saying "eat with confidence" because it's from X area.
Exactly, yeah.
So I think you're right. I don't think we have to react to everything. And like I said to you, Andrew does like to sort of put out a little letter there saying right into the Telegraph.
Which is great. I do think it's great the work that he's putting in. So.
No, it is. But I deal with negative things very differently if it was me.
Yeah.
I just think sometimes, the news cycle today is very short. Yeah. So, I think you could probably. I was listening to a podcast from 3 months ago, and it was talking about Brexit. And you think 3 months ago, everything's changed.
Yeah,
and that's the same with normal.
We're still not out of the year.
Well, no, it's just, and not only are we not out, but it's just there's just so much more has happened in 3 months. It feels like years have passed.
Yeah.
And that's the same with all news. So I really believe that if someone reads a story about fish, it's just like, oh, okay, what's David Beckham doing? Oh, he's eating fish and chips and he's enjoying them. I'm having fish and chips tonight. So I think
people scrolling so fast through social media and all that sort of thing, they don't have time to stop and read full articles and stuff these days. And how much attention is paid to these sort of things as well. So.
On Instagram, people can't bother to read more than 100 characters, mate.
Yeah.
So they're not going to sit there reading an article.
No.
So I think, again, we read the whole article because it affects our industry.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we assume that everyone else has read the whole article.
Yeah, and we're taking it too personally. Yeah.
Because let's face it, if it's a Daily Mail article, they're looking on the right and they've picked something else that's gossipy and juicier, and they've just read that anyway.
Yeah.
So they didn't even read the fish and chip one.
No.
So who's been an inspiration to you?
Biggest inspiration is obviously probably Cihan, my brother. He's encouraged me along the way, falling out a few times, but as you do, yeah. No, but he encourages me massively on a day-to-day basis. We're constantly messaging and talking, even though he's out of the country a lot of the time. In regards to the industry itself, starting out with my first bit of training at the KFE, Mark Petru was absolutely brilliant. He was really inspiring because at the time, everything that he was putting out there was really, really good. He helped with introducing, obviously, the breaded fish cakes and stuff to our menu, and then we obviously evolved all that sort of thing and about marketing and all that sort of thing. When it came to the Dry White Young Fish Fry of the Year competition, the likes of Craig Buckley was obviously he'd entered it first time and won it straight away. And like I say, he was very like-minded. I could tell straight away that he was sort of my sort of person, and he was very similar to. I saw a lot of myself in him, so that was quite inspiring. Obviously, to think that I could go on and achieve the same sort of things. And obviously, most recently with the federation and stuff like that, David Miller has been brilliant over the last couple of years. And like I say, I'm a little bit behind him years-wise, but that's where I would like to be eventually.
Old. No, I see what you're saying about him. He's a good guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
They're all. I think all of those people that you mentioned, I think they're all. And obviously, with Cihan, you've got plenty more arguments because it's always going to be the same. Brothers always argue.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
we have actually begun to obviously buying this new shop together. We've started to realise that we do think very similar now. We surprised ourselves a little bit more. Yeah. But it works both ways. He respects how knowledgeable I am about the industry now, and how much work I'm doing for the industry. But at the same time, I respect his background in project management and all that sort of thing. So in regards to the shop fit and stuff, if he's making a decision on it, I fully back him, and vice versa. So
that's good. And last question.
Yeah.
What book should everyone read?
So the book that I've chosen, the first book I've read in about 10 years, but again, Cihan encouraged me to read a book called was it Who Moved My Cheese? And it's basically about not stagnating. It's about not staying or accepting where you are. It's about adapting, about moving forward, about finding the next bit that's going to improve yourself. You can break your business down into 30 different parts, and there's always one area that you can improve upon, and that's what it's about. It's about not just sitting there complaining, oh, customers aren't coming through the door. Why are the customers not coming through the door? Educate yourself, better yourself, do something about it, be proactive. And again, you get that a lot on the fish and chip pages and stuff on Facebook, where people are just like, been quiet today. Oh, well, that's great, but where are you? What are you doing? How are you sort of combating that?
And again, not a lot of detail goes into that. It's just busy or dead. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
This is a Q&A. Like very quick Q&A.
I can't help you if you're not going to give me more information. And that's sometimes where I'm a little bit reluctant to comment and give my opinion on it, because if someone isn't going to help me help them, then yeah.
Yeah. No, it's true. No, that book, your brother told me about it, 5 or 6 years ago.
Oh, longer than that, yeah.
And I just never got around to it.
Yeah.
But no, I think I will.
It's not a big book. It's not a long book either.
No, I might just get the audio books. It's an hour and a half. So that's like a podcast for me. So.
Yeah.
But no, he was early to that. Your brother was really.
Yeah.
He's in the self-learning thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've got a lot of respect for your brother. Actually, I've not spent a lot of time with him. But we email a lot or text.
Yeah. He, like I say, he's very proactive on the pages and stuff like that, and he has got a wealth of knowledge himself without frying a fish. So
no, exactly, without frying a fish, he doesn't come in and be like, "Oh, you're frying that wrong."
No, but again, he's allowed me to and trusted me to run that shop how I see fit.
He's a betting man.
Yeah, well, he's helped me along the way. Don't get me wrong, but in regards to the day-to-day operations and stuff, he's given me free reign of that place, and I think I've sort of backed that up in the fact we've got to where we are as well with that. So
he's very business-minded. I know that he thinks about things properly.
Yeah.
And
thoroughly. Yeah,
very thoroughly. And I remember even when we're making changes at Ceres, and he always took an interest. He still does, and he'll say and he'll talk about accountancy software or something. He's always thinking things through. He always knows more than he lets on as well. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And even if it's not something in his sort of area that he works in, he'll educate himself about it and learn about it. We had the electricians in at the new shop, and he's reeling off all these little standards and stuff that you need to have, and regulations and stuff. I'm just baffled by how much he knows, but he makes it his business to know that sort of thing. So
well, enough about him, because we're going to get him on later on, aren't we?
Yeah, okay, cool. He can tell you all about that.
Yeah, exactly. I can learn about the safety standards of electrical code. Well, look,
that's it.
Cem, it's been great, mate. And
loved it.
I'll let you crack on.
Cool.
And but thank you for your time today.
No problem.
And,
enjoyed it.